In Chatelet, my dudes, and welcome to Polecat cast number 115, Scaring Sons into Suicide, where our stealthy polecats ferret out the best feels, funnies, and what the fucks to discuss Slam Bam Badger style. Strap yourselves in, lock up the bleach, and make sure the only pills that you plan on overdosing on are red ones. Welcome to the dankest timeline. Special thanks to the CIA ninjas for tuning in. Today's Polecat panel consists of the big half of Big and Robot, Scott, the silverback sulfurware simian, Max Darrett, Simpsons kin, and oh shit, I didn't even come up with anything yellow for him, but yeah, I think you guys get the idea. Polecat Punster and Pussycat Punisher Hannah, Dr. Random McCam, Panda, Puppet Master, and Long-Range Rhetorician, and me, your host, the Doge in Charge. Today, we will be discussing the following topics. Mattress girl Emma Sulkowicz has been spotted in the wild again, this time using her unique brand of feminist performance art to make a statement about the perceived devaluation of art under the Trump administration by making trashy performance BDSM artwork that devalues art itself. James S. Fell of Body4Wife.com informs us that whiny, pathetic, virgin loser MRAs with too much time on their hands have infiltrated and now taken over Urban Dictionary by using their misogyny powers and conceptual penises. How does he help deal with it? Well, by being a whiny, pathetic mangina who actually has apparently a lot of time on his hands to write this shitty article. But have MRAs actually taken over Urban Dictionary? Stephen Miller, writer for Heat Street and fucking legend as of now, bought a ticket and is planning to attend the women's only screening of Wonder Woman at a theater in Brooklyn. Fortunately, he can always decide to identify as a woman to get in despite his sex junk. Miller's cosplay should be fierce. As California goose steps towards the abyss of totalitarian rule via authoritative progressivism, it appears that it's going to attempt to amend rape laws yet fucking again to include stealthing, or the act of removing or tampering with a condom during intercourse without your partner's knowledge. Is this just? Is this insane? What is even rape anymore, California? The family of an Illinois teen who jumped to his death claims that he took his life because of a school disciplinary meeting. Sometimes trying to scare somebody straight can have unforeseen, tragic consequences. And finally, our bonus story for the patron-only after show. In their quest to achieve the status of becoming a magical unicorn of tolerance and diversity, feminists in Sweden have arranged a 7-kilometer rally wherein participants gallop past several of the capital's horse statues, which I guess is meant to make some sort of point about the horse as a symbol of power or something. My immediate thoughts on this? How to delegitimize your movement in one easy gallop. Anyway, if you would like to participate in our after shows, either as an audience member or a participant, please consider becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. Now, before I give this one to Max to tell us the first story, I want to tell you guys about another story that I thought was funny enough that we should briefly talk about it. But it came at me a little bit too late in the day for me to prepare. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into this. I thought this was fucking hilarious. You might be aware of the statue in Wall Street known as the Charging Bull. And the Charging Bull was supposed to be a symbol of a bull, what they call a bull economy or rising economy. It's something that represents good luck with America's economic strength. There was a statue made in contrast to it, known as the Fearless Girl, that stands in the way of the Charging Bull. The Fearless Girl project was put up not with the consent of the original sculptor that made the Charging Bull sculpture. And the sculptor had a problem with that because he felt that it changed the context of his piece, which I think he makes a very good case for. Whereas the bull originally symbolized economic strength and the ability to essentially to rise and seize your own destiny economically speaking, and it was a good symbol for Wall Street. The Fearless Girl changes the context and basically makes the bull into this fearsome monster that's charging at this brave girl. Many feminists and social justice warriors and news outlets thought that this was not a good case, and that they dismissed it out of hand, and people felt empowered by the Fearless Girl. So what did the artist do? Well, let me read you a little bit of this article. People are still deeply unhappy about Fearless Girl, the sculpture that was installed near Wall Street to promote women in leadership and stare down Charging Bull. The New York Post reported on Monday that the sculptor Alex Gardega installed a statue of a small dog called Pissing Pug that aims at the left leg of Fearless Girl. So he built an extra sculpture on top of the sculpture that she did. It's like they're building a diorama. The sculpture doesn't exactly look like a dog, but Gardega said that was intentional to convey how Fearless Girl downgrades the Charging Bull, the fixture that precedes both. Fearless Girl was installed with a temporary permit on International Women's Day, March 8th, by the mutual fund State Street Global Advisors as part of a campaign to pressure companies to add more women to their boards. Arturo D. Modica, the creator of the Charging Bull, called it an advertising trick that appealed to New York City officials to remove the sculpture that stares at his sculpture. He's suing State Street over copyright infringement. After a petition and lots of tourist selfies, the city extended its permit until 2018. Gardega said his pug was not a statement against feminism, but was meant to show that Fearless Girl was disrespectful to the creator of Charging Bull. Charging Bull was installed outside of the New York Stock Exchange after the 1987 stock market crash as a symbol of America's resilience. According to NY1 News, the pug statue was removed early on Tuesday, unfortunately. So basically, he did it to make a point, that if you add another sculpture in the vicinity, and it changes the context of the original sculpture. So, and this was the point that the original sculptor was trying to make about the reason why Fearless Girl... he had a problem with it because it changes what the bull means. And so people dismissed it, and all of a sudden this pug sculpture shows up, and it does change the meaning of the Fearless Girl, too.
If you're listening to this after the live show and you want to hear the full stream, go to www.honeybadgerradio.com for our unabridged podcasts, or look up to the right of this video. There's a link to go directly to the unabridged version on YouTube.
The Return of Mattress Girl.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, you know how they're always like, well, you know, sometimes rape victims, they don't act supposedly how rape victims act. Well, I'll tell you this. From what I understand, rape isn't pleasant, and any sane person would want to avoid things that make them relive that trauma, right? Well, you'd think. So, more famously known as Mattress Girl, Sulkowicz is back in the news, topping her past maniacal exploits. Originally, Sulkowicz proclaimed she was raped to her university, and when they decided that the evidence was against her, not that there was a lack of evidence, but that the available evidence was against her, she proceeded to carry around a mattress for her senior year as a form of art and a form of protest. Then, she did a video reenactment of her rape online, titled "Ceci n'est pas un viol," which is French for "This is not a rape." Now she's doing BDSM as performance art. No, I'm not kidding. So at the Elizabeth Foundation for the Arts Project space in Manhattan, you know, I'm guessing this is like a hipster postmodern section of Manhattan, she presented a piece called "The Ship is Sinking." She describes her piece in her own words. "I chose to have a white man tie me up while wearing a business suit with a Whitney necktie." I don't know what that's in reference to. "While I wear a Whitney ISP thong bikini. We're acting out this sadistic, masochistic relationship between the institution with all of its financial power and this program that wants to be political, but can be really because it's being tied up by this institution." As her performance started, the aforementioned white man named Master Avery, who happened to be a professional dominatrix, started to insult Sulkowicz by saying things like, "Your boobs are too small, and you can't even stand up straight." He tied knots around several parts of her body for, I'm not joking, 45 minutes, until she was completely tied up to a large wooden beam. And using a pulley system attached to the ceiling, she was lifted from the ground, purposefully trying to resemble the woman often seen at the front of a ship. Then Master Avery started hitting her with a belt. Avery at one point asked if anybody wanted to participate, and one man from the audience volunteered, and he proceeded to slap her across the face. In respect to the purpose of her performance art, Sulkowicz said the following, quote, "Historically, performance art has been a very important medium for women of color and queer people. There's an accessibility to it. It's the only art form that doesn't cost money. Then there's also that women, people of color, queer people, we live embodied history. My body already carries material in it just because of the way I look. It's embedded in my skin. White men have the privilege of entire institutions built for their paintings. These paintings are very often abstract. You have people like Pollock splattering a bunch of shit and then saying it's art. It doesn't say anything political, and in fact, that actual political statement it does say is, I'm a white man and I can do whatever the fuck I want and make a ton of money off of it.
Scott, Urban Warfare. Give it to us.
All right, founded in 1999, the website Urban Dictionary served as little more than a fun waste of time. The site allows users to add and define words or phrases, some of which more contemporary dictionaries wouldn't dare touch. Others use the, Others then vote up or vote down these newly defined words, with the highest voted ones winning the honor of being displayed more prominently than its rivals. Since its launch, Urban Dictionary has become a good source for picking up cutting-edge internet slang. At one point, IBM decided to upload the entire Urban Dictionary to their supercomputer, Watson. But after the machine began swearing incessantly, the new lexicon was promptly removed. The Urban Dictionary has also become an unlikely battleground of sorts recently in the battle for men's rights. Several of the more controversial definitions, such as misogynist, rape, feminism, and MRA, have received popular definitions that many feminists do not approve of. It seems that not being content with ruining the Oxford English Dictionary, feminists have now set their sights on doing the same to the Urban Dictionary. But where it was much easier to make the Oxford English Dictionary kowtow with pressure from feminists in academia, the fight against Urban Dictionary won't be that easily won.
You know that really innocuous, unimportant, women-only Wonder Woman screening thing? Well, people are apparently still talking about it for some reason. It's mostly because people are making so much of it out of it on both sides. Now, this is just my opinion, so just, feel free to dissent in just a second when I'm done reading this. So, one of the people fanning the flames of this intense reaction...
I'm taking issue with that, Max. I don't agree.
What, the fact that there are people fanning the flames?
I'm just playing. Go ahead.
Okay.
I was just practicing my taking issue with what you said. Practicing.
One of the people fanning the flames of this intense reaction is Heath Street writer Stephen Miller. And no, we're not talking about the good Stephen Miller, the guy that wrote Abracadabra. I think that's what it was. He bought a ticket to this women-only screening at the Alamo Drafthouse in Brooklyn, New York, and posted a picture of his receipt on Twitter. He expressed a desire to not cause a scene and replied the following to anybody expressing anger at his choice. Quote, I'll be enjoying the film with the ticket I purchased. End quote. He also pointed... Hello?
Yep, we're here.
Hi.
Oh, okay, good. He also pointed out that kicking him out specifically on the grounds of sex or gender identity would be illegal. It doesn't seem like Miller is doing this to make any positive statement. After all, in his Twitter feed, he constantly refers to the Wonder Woman movie as the, quote, Chris Pine superhero movie. Although, I would... I would personally forgive him, if he went there and he said he identified as an attack helicopter. But anyways, to conclude, one Twitter user named @bropair wrote the following in response to this. Some men lay down their lives battling white supremacists on the streets. Others demand admittance to the women-only Wonder Woman screening. This is clearly in reference to last Friday's Portland murders. The Daily Mail classified the murderer in this case as a self-avowed Nazi supporter, when minimal research concludes that any supposed ties to Nazis were disproven as false flags by the murderer to discredit Trump voters. But I digress. So, anybody else tired of this shit yet? Oh, by the way, reviews came out for Wonder Woman yesterday, and apparently the movie's kick-ass, so I can't wait.
Let's talk about stealthing.
Oh, yeah, hold on a second. Talking about stealthing. Okay, this is something I didn't know was a thing until just now. I've learned something today. On May 16th, California Assemblywoman Cristina Garcia introduced a new rape law that would seek to punish all ill-defined and nearly improvable act of stealthing. Stealthing, for those not in the know, is the act of intentionally removing or tampering with a condom during sexual intercourse. Stealthing, Cristina Garcia argues, is just another form of rape. The problem with adding such a clearly flawed and biased addendum to the currently existing rape laws would be many. It would be very hard, if not impossible, to prove such a case as condom can break due to improper usage or age. It creates the possibility for false allegations against men by women who have become pregnant by accident. It also says nothing on the topic of women who would tamper with contraceptives to become pregnant, despite the male sexual partner's wishes. Assemblywoman Garcia is no stranger to pushing these ill-conceived amendments to current rape laws. In August of last year, she helped pass an amendment that would make any form of alleged non-consensual act be defined as rape. Sadly, this new law, like those before it, seemed likely to pass given Governor Jerry Brown's history with approving every new rape law amendment by Congress.
Final story. Now for sure. Moving on. All right. Scaring sons into suicide, which is basically our title story. So, an Illinois family, not far from where I live, in the Naperville, which is a suburb of Chicago, an Illinois family is claiming a school discipline meeting scared their son into suicide. Corey Walgren, 16 years old, jumped to his death in January, less than 3 hours after meeting with school officials and police at Naperville North High School. The meeting was about an alleged cell phone recording of a consensual sexual encounter with a female classmate. Corey had no criminal history and had never been in any serious trouble at his school. Corey's parents claimed the school's officials questioned him about child pornography and threatened to have him registered as a sex offender. According to the Chicago Tribune, Corey's mother thinks the school wanted to scare him straight. Instead, they scared him to death. According to the Tribune, it does not appear that any pornographic images were found on the teen's phone, but it did contain an audio file of the sexual encounter. Apparently, the female classmate in the recording alleged that he may have played it for his friends. Records of the meeting show police did not intend to pursue charges, but wanted to handle the matter in a way that ensured Corey understood the seriousness of his actions and how it affected his classmate, who was described as mortified in the police report. After the meeting, the school had contacted his mother, but Corey left school grounds and walked to a nearby parking garage where he jumped to his death. His parents planned to sue the school district and the police department. That's the end of the summary.
After the meeting, they contacted his parents.
Yes.
After the meeting. After they had a meeting with an underage student in which they talked to the student without a lawyer present about potentially criminally charging him. Then they called his parents. Holy shit, this school should be sued into oblivion. I cannot even begin to tell you how hard I would have come down on my son's school if they did that to him when he was underage. I'd come down on him now, and he's 18 now. That is insane. You don't do that. You don't meet with a student about a disciplinary measure of this seriousness without parents present. It's one thing to give a kid a detention for talking in class or chewing gum when they're not supposed to chew gum or pushing somebody in the hallway or something like that. It's another thing entirely if police have to be present. If police are present, the parent should be present. You don't have an administrator and a student and a police officer in the school having a meeting without a parent. Mm-hmm. That's bullshit. That's the first thing. Okay, well, that's the primary thing for me.
Right.
The second thing is...
Wait, hold on, just a moment. I'm sorry. Jax had a question. I got to answer it so that she understands the context before you continue. Jax says, what is he being disciplined on? He met a girl. They're both 16. They had sex, okay? She's also a student there. He recorded the sex act with his phone, just the audio. She didn't know about it, so he did it without her knowledge. He supposedly, this is her claim, shared it with his friends, which made her mortified. The school then disciplined him on it, essentially accusing him of child pornography because he had a recording of having sex with another 16-year-old girl who is also underage. That's why he was in trouble, and that's why they scared the fucking shit out of him. So anyway, Hannah...
Yeah, see, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. If her age makes her not responsible for engaging in a sex act with an underage boy, then his age it makes him not responsible for engaging in a sex act with an underage girl. And an audio recording is not, by nature, just by the nature of the people involved, a criminal act, especially if it's an audio recording of a consensual activity. And I don't know what the age of consent is in Illinois. I don't know if it's 16 or if it's 18. But if it's like in Ohio, they were of the age of consent.
Illinois, it's 18.
For sex.
I think.
Is it 18?
Oh, you know what? Let me look that up. I don't know about...
Yeah, that's important because
teenagers,
most states,
I'll look it up. Hold on. Go ahead.
Most states are 16 or 17. I know California is 18, but most states are 16 or 17. Now, you can't pose for pictures at that age. That is considered child pornography. But to call a recording of a consensual sex act between two teenagers who were not forced by somebody older than them, it's a consensual act, to call that child pornography and take one of the two teenagers involved and criminalize him, that's bullshit too.
Hannah,
it was
in Illinois, when
Yeah.
when a teenager under the age of 17 dates someone that is 17 or older, then it gets complicated. Statutory
It's
rape.
complicated.
Yeah, statutory rape is any type of sexual intercourse that occurs between someone under 17 in Illinois, and so basically it's 18 when you're an adult. So
So do they have
anything
Romeo
for
and Juliet thing,
Yeah,
or is it? Some states have that and some don't. But that just makes it even more so that he should not be considered responsible, because if he's not old enough to be accountable for a sex act, if he is of an age where if she was an adult, she would be engaging in statutory rape by having sex with him, then I don't see how it's reasonable to charge him with a criminal act, because he couldn't consent to the activity any more than the girl could.
There's no Romeo and Juliet law in Illinois, so it is possible for both individuals under the age of 17 who willingly engage in intercourse to be prosecuted for statutory rape, although this is rare. Ironically, there's a whole lot of teen pregnancy in this country, in that state.
It doesn't seem to be stopping the teenagers from having sex with each other.
We're going to go ahead and wrap up the show, but I'll give you guys a little bit of a peek at what we're going to talk about in the after show. You can't make this up. Women protest patriarchy by pretending to be horses and galloping around the city. This is activism.
Turn them into glue. Make something useful out of them.
There's definitely a masturbation joke in there somewhere, if you know anything about women and horses.
Oh boy. Yeah, we're going to get into some of that. So, yes, friendship is indeed magic. We will be going into the after show, but I want to thank my co-hosts for coming on. Thank you, Max, Scott, Mike, and Hannah. And I want to thank you guys for watching. You guys make this possible. Thank you to all the people who donated so handsomely to our Super Chat, as well as Patreon and Feed the Badger. I think we're still working on another goal. Like, we're trying to get to Anaheim. So if you guys can help us with that, that'd be great. Most of the other stuff has been covered, and we should be good. We're going to Australia this weekend, so there will not be a Polecat for a couple of weeks, although Max will be keeping you guys company with occasional pop-ins, so keep an eye on the channel for breaking Badger news.
Simpson Skin Takeover, baby.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
And so thanks again for coming on the Polecat Cast, and thank you for everyone who helped me do the write-ups. We will talk to you guys later. Join us in the after show. You know how to do that. Go ahead and become a patron. Otherwise, we will see you soon.